Today the encouragement comes from Daniel chapter 3. Of course, in the previous chapter, chapter 2, God had given Nebuchadnezzar a dream of an image, and the image was of a person, and the image was of gold at the top, and then silver, the arms and the chest, and then the midriff of bronze, and then the legs of iron, and then the feet of iron and clay. And in chapter 3, we see that Nebuchadnezzar sort of responds to this in his own way. He makes an image of gold, 90 feet high and 9 feet wide, and puts it in the plain, so it would have been a flat land and it would have been seen for miles. And then in chapter 3 there's a command. Music is brought, and different instruments are brought together, and whenever the music plays, everybody is to bow down to the image. And of course this presents a problem to Daniel and his three friends. And the three friends are the only ones that are mentioned in this particular case: Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. Of course their allegiance is to the true God, because the commandments say they are not to bow down to any image. We know that from Exodus chapter 20, and their allegiance was to God. And of course it must have been easy to give in and to the peer pressure and just do what everybody else was doing, but they didn't bow down. And of course they were noticed straight away for this, and some of the Babylonians went rushing to the king and said, "Those three Hebrews, they haven't bowed down to your image." And so they brought in to Nebuchadnezzar, and this is what Nebuchadnezzar says in verse 14: "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if you are ready at the time you hear the sound of the horn," and we get a whole load of musical instruments, "and you fall down and worship the image which I have made you good. But if you do not worship, you shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace." And Nebuchadnezzar ends his rage, and really was a rage because he was very angry. "Who is the God who will deliver you from my hands?" And so I would say Nebuchadnezzar doesn't think that any God, much less the God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, can deliver them from his hands. Then we get the answer, and this is where I want to get the encouragement. Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this is the case, our God whom we serve is able." And this is the bit that sort of really encouraged, that in the middle of this life and death situation, we see that Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego had complete confidence in the ability of God. Our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And that would have been amazing as it was. "And he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the golden image which you have set up." Here we see the three friends, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, were prepared to follow God whatever the cost. Whether God delivered them from the burning fiery furnace, or whether God didn't, they weren't worshipping the golden image or serving their God. And that is a huge, huge commitment. And for many Christians in certain parts of the world, that's the choice they have to make: either to continue following Christ or to come to Christ for salvation, and pay the cost, sometimes with their own life or the life of persecution. But here we see the encouragement for us is that in the face of this situation, none of us know how we would react in that situation. They had complete confidence in God. Our God whom we serve is able. And that's what I want the encouragement to come from this message, is that we must never doubt the ability of God. And maybe if we're in that situation, we wouldn't be so courageous, and we would bow down. But Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego had complete confidence in God. And maybe sometimes our faith is just not strong enough, or our confidence is not strong enough. And sometimes it's our own unbelief that doubts what God can do. And I just want to encourage you, Ephesians chapter 3, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. And so it runs right into the New Testament. God is able to make all grace abound to you, 2 Corinthians chapter 9. And you can go through these characteristics of God, what God is able to do. In this case, Daniel 3, He's able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And what we read at the end of this chapter, of course, in this case, God did deliver them this time. And when they come out of the burning fiery furnace, Nebuchadnezzar says this: "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him. They have frustrated the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they should not serve or worship any god, G-O-D, small g, except their own God, except Elohim, which was the one true God." And so we see that God in this case delivered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego because God honored them, God honored him, and actually it was a chain in bringing Nebuchadnezzar to faith. And so the challenge for me and you, Hebrews chapter 11 talks about the people of faith, and it talks about quenching the violence of fire, no doubt referring at least to this chapter and maybe other incidents in the Bible where it was the faith of those that trusted in God and trusted in Christ that stood out. And that's the challenge and also encouragement for us. Our God, whom we serve, is able. Let's remember that and be encouraged. Thank you for listening.